Story 1. I feel like all the ages I have been are stacked on top of each other. Story 2. I am 25 years old. I feel like I am more than 40 years old. I tend to get along very well with people in their 40s, both at work and in hobbies. I also get along with some people in their 50s, especially if they remain ambitious. I appreciate them very much, although sometimes I wonder if they see me as a super eager, bright-eyed child. Story 3. Strangely, I feel like I am actually coming to terms with how old I am. I am 24, and I am just now starting to feel like a fully fledged adult, which is where I believe a 24-year-old should be. Story 4. Feel 30, but really 45. My doctor brought me back to reality when he told me I had high cholesterol and high blood pressure. Story 5. I am 33, feel 89. Bah. I am over all of you young people with your doing stuff and going places. Just give me onion soup and a blanket and put on my shows. Story 6. I am 35 years old. Mentally, I feel quite a bit younger. Most days, I feel like a little baby idiot. Physically, I feel quite a bit older. My joints feel like they are disintegrating. If I sleep too long, my back hurts for days. Story 7. My body feels 40. My energy feels 30. There is a disconnect somewhere. Story 8. I am 27 but feel 20 most of the time. However, there are days when my mentality has clearly changed, maturity hits, and I really think over things more, so I feel like I am 34 or something. I also get told I look young. No one ever guesses I am almost 30. Story 9. I feel the same way I did when I was in high school. Story 10. I am 61 years old and I feel like I am 30 to 35 at most. However, when I have to get up, I feel like I am 64. Story 11. Sometimes I feel like a teenager and sometimes I feel ancient. Neither is correct. Story 12. Not too bad. I am 55 but I feel good. I have seen some classmates my age, and they look much older. Story 13. Age 23. I feel 13. I am very socially anxious and feel behind in adult life despite attending university. Story 14. I would like to feel younger, but the problems of people my age do not allow this. Story 15. I already feel tired, worthless, and defeated at 32, so I would say I feel quite old. Story 16. I am actually 30 as of about 2 weeks ago, and after a brief ego death, I feel about the same way I did at 25 to 27. My face is still chubby and baby-faced, so the concept of aging has not quite reached me. Story 17. I am a 37-year-old male, and I enjoy being physically active rather than relaxing in an air-conditioned environment all day. Story 18. I am 29 but feel 35. Before I had a baby, I always felt younger. When I was 27, I still felt 22. Now I feel middle-aged. Story 19. I am 37. I feel 60 with the way my body hurts every day, but people say I look 25. Story 20. I feel my age, I believe. Yes, some issues are happening with my knees, head, and neck, but I think I am doing okay. Some days I do feel older, just the usual creaky aches and pains. Story 21. Mid-20s, bad ankles and knees, and my skin is getting wrinkly already, but I seem to be way more mature than people my age. So maybe 50. Story 22. As young as my tongue and a little older than my teeth. Story 23. I am going to appear in a Kalzalski video. I have to go. Story 24. Mentally feels like a teenager. Physically feels like a retired grandparent. Story 25. Just hit 40 recently and I still feel like I am in my late 20s mentally. Physically, I feel like I am still in my early 30s. Story 26. Physically, I feel 40 years old but still look a lot younger. Mentally, I feel like a foolish teenager. All the adult responsibilities feel like I am just pretending. In general, I have no idea what I am doing. Talking to people still feels like I am a child trying to speak to adults, and I am very shy with strangers. Story 27. 32 years old. Feels like 25. Have worked out my whole life. Feeling super strong now. Story 28. Physically about 30 years old. Trained practically daily for the last 30 years. mentally well over retirement age. Story 29. I am 30, and up until I had a child at 29, I always felt 17. Now I feel like I am 40. Story 30. I am 70. Sometimes I feel like I am 50 years old, sometimes 90. Story 31. 19 or 16 years old, when I go to high schools or universities, they think I studied there. I always joke and say, maybe it's because of my mental immaturity. I am 32 years old. Story 32. I still mentally feel young, but I know I am getting older. I can feel my body breaking down. Story 33. I am 28 years old going on 29, and I feel my age, but I am aware that I definitely do not look my age compared to everyone else in my age group. Story 34. I have a very limited sample, so it is hard to say, but I am me and I am okay. Story 35. They say inside every elderly person is a young person wondering what happened. Story 36. I apparently look extremely young for my age, and mentally I would say I probably feel around 24 to 25. My brain somewhat stunted itself during those lockdown years. I have many more responsibilities and stress than I did even 2 to 3 years ago, though. Story 37. I am 30 years old. Mentally, I feel like I am 18. I still feel young. Physically, I feel like I am 45. Story 38. I wonder if feeling older or younger is less about age and more about how much stress or new experiences we are exposed to. Sometimes feeling old is just a side effect of too many deadlines, not actual years. Story 39. I am 28 years old. Mentally, I feel 25 and physically, I feel 45. I work out and eat clean, but I still feel stiff. Story 40. I am 32 years old, and I am starting to think that death is better for me because eternal rest is what my body needs. Long, long eternal rest is what death provides me. Story 41. I am 28 but have recently caught myself overestimating my age, as if I am already over 30. Story 42. I am 23, but sometimes I feel like I am 12 or 18. I recently graduated and do not know what life without school year-round is like, so I am not sure if I can feel much older yet. Story 43. I'm actually in great shape at 65. Rough start in the morning, but a few stretches and a brisk walk after my morning tea tend to keep the heart beating. These are usually followed by pills for my arthritis, blood pressure, and anti-inflammatories with my oatmeal, then off to work. I still enjoy tending my vegetable garden to a certain extent due to my chronic back pain, but mostly just reading through threads on the internet before bed. Real age 37. Story 44. I am 28 years old. Physically, I feel 15, but mentally, I feel 45. Story 45. I feel like I am in my late 30s or early 40s, but my right knee feels like it is 150. Story 46. 56 years chronologically, 35 years mentally, and probably 40 years physically. Story 47. I look younger than my years thanks to partial Asian genes. I used to feel a lot younger too, but as I entered my 60s, it is starting to catch up with me. Story 48. I still feel like I am in my 20s, but I am 30, and I find actual 20-year-olds somewhat annoying. Story 49. Generally, I keep myself in relatively good shape. I just completed a Spartan race and play pickup soccer. I stay the same, but everyone around me gets quicker and faster every year. They must be using steroids or something. Story 50. As a 32-year-old, I feel like a 28-year-old. Time started moving faster after 25. Story 51. I am 36, but my body is probably in its late 40s or early 50s due to the Army and Sheriff's Department. Story 52. I feel like I am 24. You feel the same no matter how much time passes. Same humor, same interests, same close circle of people. It is incredible. Story 53. I am 33, but I feel insecure because I act like a 23-year-old. Story 54. I am 27, but mentally I feel like I am under 20. It also depends on the situation. Sometimes, especially when I have to go to a club or a party, I feel 40. In dating, I definitely feel under 20. It is interesting because a few weeks ago I would have said around 15. It looks like I have improved recently. Story 55, 35 and 54, but they were flipped at one point in my life. Story 56. I am 36 years old, but I feel 80. My body feels like it is 90 because I developed arthritis in my 20s. I have severe scoliosis, and my weight has fluctuated significantly. Story 57. Younger. Much younger with regular yoga and taking care of my skin and hair for years, plus walking in the summer. Story 58. Brain thinks I am 20 or 60, depending on the day or situation. My body thinks I am 80. I am in my mid-40s. Story 59. As a 30-year-old, I have experienced everything that a 50-year-old does. Back pain, knee pain, and chronic fatigue. So 50, I guess. Story 60. I am 26 years old and feel 20 years older. I am not unfit by any means, and I have a relatively well-rounded diet, but everything aches all the time. My neck, my back, my knees, and so on. Story 61. I am 51 years old and feel about 30 physically, and younger mentally most days. Story 62. At 26, my body feels 56. Between different nerve issues, persistent sickness, constant headaches, and aching joints and muscles, the list goes on. Story 63. My mental age is probably 18, which makes me younger according to my country. Story 64. I am 31 years old but physically feel like I am in my early 20s, although I felt over 40 at 28 before I returned to the gym. At that time, I was at my heaviest, weakest, and slowest. I had a sedentary lifestyle with over 10 years cumulatively without any exercise, combined with alcohol consumption, drug use, and partying. Story 65. 36, and I always feel 20, because every morning I am always so energetic. Story 66. 29. Feels more like 24 to 25 overall, but with the emotional maturity of someone over 35 years old. Story 67. I recently turned 26. Sometimes my brain struggles to move on from my 16-year-old mindset. Story 68. I have a high schooler, so I feel like a young mom but also old because of having a high schooler. All my friends are just having babies, which makes me feel young. Then I remember I had a baby 14 years ago, which makes me feel old. When I go to back-to-school night and see the parents who look around 50, I feel young. But when I go to the mall, shake my head at the loud teenagers, and look at the clothing stores I once shopped at, I feel old. I am confused. Story 69. 33. Maybe 27? No creaking bones or random pains. Still have a fair amount of energy. Still as horny as I was around 20. Still have a very fast metabolism and am not sure when it will start dropping off. According to the 30s subreddit, I should feel half dead by now. Story 70. I am 45. Feel like I am in my 30s except for the back pain. I quit drinking alcohol about 3 years ago. I just returned from a weekend hiking trip and am planning my next adventures. My children are grown up a bit, so no more sleepless nights. I have never been fitter. Honestly, I feel like I have my second wind in life. Story 71. I feel no different from when I was in my mid-20s. I can still drink people in their 20s under the table until the sun comes up with no problem. That is not a boast. Story 72. I am 50 years old and I feel 35. I started weightlifting and eating properly at 40, and it has been life-changing. Story 73. My body is 40, my back is 80, my curiosity is 10, and my thirst for knowledge is 12. Story 74. I'm 40 years old, but I feel like I'm in my early 20s. The only signs that I am not are when I play online games and everyone says things I do not understand. My neighbor's kids give me odd looks when I say hello, and their dad talks to me like I am his friend. Oh, and my overwhelming debt and worries about how I am going to feed my kids. But honestly, I have not matured since I was 20. Story 75. I'm 25 and most people do not believe I am any older than 20. I feel that way too. Story 76. Soon to be 29. Already feel very jaded, full of despair, and without excitement for life. I don't know how people do not lose their minds after a while. Story 77. 16 to 19 years old, to be honest. Just my personality. Kid at heart. Story 78. I am 25 years old but feel 65. I need to retire and travel the world. I have had enough of everyone's nonsense. Story 79. I feel like an ancient oak tree compared to my actual age. However, if you are looking for an exact numerical value for the age-to-age feeling disparity, I would say there is a 32-year gap between my actual age and the age I feel. Glinda Gold. Story 80. 72 years old, but feel like 35 to 40. Maybe because I never had children. Story 81. Actual age 43. Feel 28. Just like being happy and optimistic when I am not totally worn down from my advocacy work. Story 82. I've always believed I was born an old soul with the heart of a child. I'm 40, and I felt older in my 30s. I enjoy younger interests such as gaming, anime, and cute things, but I've never been much into clubbing or other adult activities. A walk somewhere nice or reading a good book while sitting next to my husband like an older person is what truly gives me joy. I'm now having success with weight loss and looking after myself. My 30s were spent kickstarting a new career and taking better care of my mental health. My 20s were a constant battle of trying to convince myself I had self-worth and keeping depression and toxic, manipulative people out of my life by building boundaries. My hard work in my 30s and battles in my 20s are paying off in my 40s. I don't exactly feel young, but I'm not afraid to when I do. Story 83. 29 for the rest of my life. Peter Pan Syndrome. Yes. Story 84. I am 26. My body feels like I am 20. My mind feels like I am already nearing my 50s. Story 85. I have never felt younger than my age, but my older friends have been keeping me in check. So I am feeling about right at 24 at the moment. Story 86. I feel about half my actual age. I am 48 but still function like I am 24. Story 87. Something between 25 and 65, but not exactly in the middle, more of a fusion of the two. Story 88. I turn 30 in a few weeks. Mentally, I feel like I am in my early 20s, have just finished college, and am living on my own. Story 89. I am 26 years old and feel 18. I just do not have my life together and recently moved back in with my parents. Story 90. At 23, I mentally feel stuck at 17, the age I was when COVID-19 hit us. However, I have also been through enough traumatic experiences to feel like I am 60. Physically, I feel around 60 as well because of back pain. Story 91. I feel like I am still 19 or 20, while I am actually 25 and I look like 28 to 30. Story 92. I am 23 and feel 50, probably because my parents and sister are older. Story 93. I don't know how other soon-to-be 40-year-olds feel, but I feel the same as 10 years ago, just a little less energetic. I basically do the same things, just less partying and more exercising. I have a better diet too, which probably helps a lot. I have allowed myself to party a lot, and there are many unhealthy habits involved in that. But I decided a long time ago that I wanted to be in good health before 40. I have 11 months left, and I think I am in a good place already. People usually tell me I look 5 to 10 years younger than I am, and I aim to keep it that way as long as I can. Story 94. I feel like I am 35 and have been feeling this way for 4 years. Story 95. At 27, I feel around 17. I still like everything I liked as a kid. The only difference is that now I have the money to get what I want. Story 96. Some days I feel like 25. Some days I feel like 55. Shaking my head. Story 97. I am 42, but for a few months now, I have felt like I am 18 again. My heart is full of love for two people whom I love incredibly much. Story 98. I feel like an adult, kind of. I used to feel like an 8-year-old trapped in a growing body. So I guess it's better. I have grown. Story 99. I have jokingly said I am 29 for 11 years now. Mentally, I still feel that young. Physically, my back hurts for no reason. Story 100. I am 28 years old, and I have always felt not mature enough for my age. However, I also look younger than my age, so it probably evens out. Story 101. in my 30s, but I feel as though I should be in my 20s. My entire 20s were taken from me due to a severe and debilitating medical condition. Feels unfair to have lost over a decade. Story 102. I feel my age, but sometimes younger as well. I like to think that my mind is getting older and wiser, but my body stays the same. Story 103. I am 42 and feel like I am in my late 20s or early 30s. That probably has to do with hormones, though. Story 104. I am 70 in November, but I feel like I did when I was 40. I see other people my age and wonder what happened to them. Story 105. I have always been older than my peers. Not necessarily more mature, but I have always had older friends and related more to older people. I am 30 today but get along best with men who are 45 to 65 years old, and that is how old I feel, somewhere in that age range. Story 106. I am 37 years old, but sometimes I feel like I am 10, and sometimes like I am 60. Now I am trying to learn Excel and I feel both of them. Story 107. When I was 18, I looked at 30-year-olds and felt like I was still a child. When I turned 30, I still felt like a child. Story 108. I am 21 years old in just over a month, but I feel like I am at least 45 to 50 years old. Story 109. I am a 36-year-old female, turning 37 in December, feeling 100%, looking around 28 to 30. Story 110. I am 32 years old. Last year, I felt like I was 60 with body aches and threw out my back every time I bent over. I started working out and losing weight, 90 pounds so far, and now I feel better than I did when I was 18. Story 111. Just woke up with back pain. So instead of 37, I feel 60. Story 112. I feel about 10 years older than I expected at this age due to chronic pain from an autoimmune disease and a broken bone. Story 113. I am 27, but I feel like I am 22 or 23. I know it is not a huge difference in terms of numbers, but some people at 27 seem much more adult than me. Many are even married, in serious relationships, or have children, houses, and stable jobs. Meanwhile, I am a student doing an internship, living in a shared house, and not in a relationship. I relate more to other interns and students who are mostly between 22 and 25 than to someone who is a fully developed adult. I am happy about it. I am not rushing anywhere and I feel young. Story 114. Depends on the day. My daughter and I had a moment today where I got really giddy and goofy. Other times, everything hurts and I need a nap. Story 115. I am 40 years old. I feel 20 when I play with my young cousin. I feel 10 when I eat ice cream. I feel 60 when I hear trap music. Story 116. I am a 41-year-old beautiful woman. I feel great. My only dissatisfaction is with my career and achievements so far. I feel happy when people tell me I look 10 years younger. Story 117. 64 years old and honestly, in my head, I still feel the same, just older, wiser, not sweating the little stuff and telling myself each and every day is a clean slate to better myself mentally, physically, and in kindness. Physically, I feel like my body is performing better than in my 40s, and aging has been kind to me both externally and internally. Keep shining, people. Story 118. I'm 40, but inside I'm still convinced I'm a rebellious 16-year-old who just forgot to grow up. Spoiler, my knees remember way too well. Story 119. Almost 40 years old. I feel and have been compared to a 70-year-old. Story 120. Sometimes I feel 23, sometimes I feel 53. I am actually 43. Story 121. Depends. I am 59 but feel like I am anywhere from 10 to 90. There is no set age, I feel like. Story 122. I think I mentally capped out after I turned 27. Now, at 32, I have a long way to go, hopefully. I don't feel any different. I am still attracted to the same group of women, have the same interests, my philosophies are more settled and not willing to change, and my body is still in the same condition as it was then. There might be some expectations of me based on my age, but that is the fault of assumptions. I still play games until 2 in the morning, drink mini apple juices, still want that hot rod muscle car, and remain at the lowest end of the hierarchy in my job. I also still do not have children and am not married, so maybe that is the tripwire for my next growth, but I am not sure. Story 123. This is a great question. I am 39, but I absolutely feel like I am 25 except for the constant back pain. I have always wondered if I am the only one who feels much younger than I really am. Story 124. I am 42 years old but usually feel 35. Sometimes I feel 28, sometimes 42, and sometimes 62. Story 125. Tonight I feel 90. I am 59. Arthritis is causing me a lot of pain right now. Story 126. I am 33 and judging by the bodily complaints my friends have, I would guess I am about 25. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.